and a one and a two and a three and a go. Oh, hi there. Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Things I Like to Talk About. Today we are here to discuss a controversial topic, I would say, which is call centers and whether if they are good to work in or not. And my opinion, I'll tell it right now, it is that yes, call centers are a good place for you to work. So I have some topics that I want to cover on this video, some of the positive things about the call centers and why I think they are a good experience for you and why I actually think they are a very good first job. So before I say anything, I just literally want to say that this is only my opinion and this is based on my history, and if I had a bad experience with call centers and working on them, I would probably change my mind. I had bad experiences with call centers, I will talk about that in a little bit, but my experience and my activities in the call center and my history in the call center made me have this opinion. So if you have a different opinion, that's totally okay. I actually like to discuss this and see why do you think your opinion is different from mine. So that's totally okay. We're all humans and we like our own stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is money. Money is a thing that is very important working in call centers because you're going to have to be very careful with it and always control it and do kind of like your micromanagement thingy, like to yourself. Why? Because most call centers, I would say, I think most of them, at least in Portugal and probably here in the UK as well, they are commission based, or if they are not commission based totally, they at least have like a small part of commission or there's usually some commission involved in them because usually involves some sales activities. So usually it's around how many sales you do or how many clients you speak to or how many clients subscribe to the service, so on and so forth. So I'm already grabbing a negative point of call centers, which I told you, it is like you have to be very careful because since it's commission based, you always want to make sure you're receiving the right amount. So the number of sales you made and see what is the percentage of commission and so on and so forth. So you want to be very careful with that, only because that's your money. And if you don't care about it and if you're not careful about it, well, no one will. But why do I think it's a very great thing that is commission based? Because basically it all depends on you. It's the same as, for example, making YouTube videos. If you make many YouTube videos and you actually put effort on it, I mean, every job, if you put effort on it, you're gonna receive more and more money. Thing is, when you're starting, the call centers are a job that are many people, like many call centers accept young people. So you can have a call center job as your first job and you can already be making loads and loads of money. For example, if you work at a cafe, you're receiving £700 a month and there's no commission, so you receive £700 a month. And if you want to work at a cafe that's more expensive, so we'll receive more, you have to have more experience. So what I'm saying here, you can get more money with no experience from call centers usually. So all of these examples are like the normal thing. Of course, there are like many like call centers that probably run scams and stuff like that. So I know the bad stuff as well, and I'm totally conscious of it, but I'm focusing on the good stuff. So let's focus on the bright side today. So yeah, since it's commission based, by the time you are like 18 or 19, you can always like already be making £1,000 a month. I know for the UK it's not much, but in Portugal, if you make €1,000 when you're like 18 years old, you're like the latest guy ever. You're literally the mad lad, because the minimum wage in Portugal is like €650, more or less. So you're almost doubling that amount. And like usually companies, when they hire young people, they hire them for the lowest amount possible because it's their first job, so on, so on and so forth. So by getting into a call center, if you get a commission-based salary, and if you get in your mind that, okay, if I make like more and more and more and more sales, I can make more and more and more money. And also another advantage is that you're already gaining experience. So when you leave the job at call center, not only you have made loads and loads of money, but you also had loads and loads of experience and loads of like skills that I'm going to talk throughout this video as well. So you're like, it's a win-win situation. I'm not saying like in other jobs you don't win experience. Of course you win experience, but in this one here, not only you win experience, but you win more money. That's usually the case. Or there are like a few cases where there's another job where it pays better than a call center. The problem about this commission-based system is when call centers only use that. For example, I used to work at a call center which had a salary, a monthly salary. It was fixed. It was the minimum wage, which was 600 euros. And then you had the commission on top of it. So it was an amazing system because even if I didn't do any sales on a month, I would receive 600 euros. It's not much, but I mean, it's 600 euros. So I would only have to mentalize myself that, okay, I need to make sales in sales in sales in sales in sales in order to make sure that I win more and more and more and more money. And it's like kind of addicting, believe me. Like from my experience, once you get past the like 800 euros mark or 900 euros, you'll be like, okay, I want to do this every month now. And you actually focus to can earn more and more and more money. As I'm telling you, it's the same as like doing YouTube videos. Like you start receiving money from the YouTube. I don't, unfortunately yet, but once I do, I am totally sure I'm going to start making more and more and more videos. And then you'll even like, you have so much money. Like when I worked at call center, I had so much money that I started like learning stuff that probably other people or other young people would only learn when they were older, like doing investments. Because if you have much money, then you won't just spend it around. You want to make investments on certain things. So I studied that a little bit in order for me to know like where to put my money, how to put my money in certain aspects, and how to win even more money without like working for it. So basically with investments, like you know how investments go. So yeah, I think that's my opinion and why I really like the commission-based style and why it really, really works. Let's go on to the next topic. Okay, so communication skills. That's the thing that you get the most. It's communication, communication, communication. You spend the day talking to people. You talk to people for a living. So basically you're going to improve, whether you want it or not, your communication skills. And there are many aspects of it that will improve. Not only, for example, in my case, I'm now like studying in England, so my fluency in the language and my accent, it's not the best. Even though I'm working on it, it's not the best currently. But working in a call center where I spend like 8 hours a day speaking English to people that are from England, I will improve my communications and my vocabulary, my accent, so on and so forth. So that's for the people who are in a foreign country. And for the other ones, well, you will improve as well. You will learn how to talk with someone in a polite way. You will learn to like especially control yourself, especially if you work like in like the sales department, but like not every sales department, like the sales department where you have to call clients to convince them to join your subscriptions or your services. Doesn't matter. At my perspective, and that was the work that I did, that's the hardest job. Maybe like going door to door and like knocking at people's door and trying to sell a service, it's harder. At least for me it seems harder, but that's not call center, it's like person to person. But nevertheless, when you're making calls and well, I can convince anyone of my opinion. That's not true, because there are certain skills that only, or certain tricks that only work in the telecommunications world, or certain aspects of it that only work. And also, I didn't want to use my full powers on my friends, otherwise I will just crush them. It would be just too OP. When you're at a call center, you learn many argumentation skills, and it's amazing because you start seeing like that you are improving. It's really a process that you look like behind, and maybe like, there was a time when I used to listen to my old calls, so my first calls and so on, and I was so afraid of talking to people, and I was like, okay, if they said no, they said no. And like, it's not that you should always deny people, like they say no and just keep being pushy and pushy and pushy. No, you sometimes have to let go, and that's one of the hardest tricks, is knowing when to let go and knowing when to really grab the customer and don't let him go. What you learn with it is how to make that happen. So how to make, when you holding a customer and you really know that you're getting him a better service, and most of the times you are getting a better service, because when you see that a client really has a service that it's not, it's just better than yours, it happens. It's just better, or a subscription that is better, or is like, imagine you're working at a call center in a gym and he goes to another gym that you know it's better, even though like yours is this or this trait, he has better prices and better schedules. Well, then eventually you just say, well, no problem at all. I hope that we can maybe do business next time, but yeah, and you just move on, because sometimes you just have to let go. But when you know that the client will win with you and will benefit with you, man, you gotta grab him to the soul and just really spit out the facts. And that's the part where the argumentation skills come to hand, because people will be resilient and people will say no, 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 no. And you just be like, yeah, but look at this. This is why you really want to come here. And this is why you don't want to stay there. These are the advantages and these are the disadvantages. These are my arguments, and you can't argue against them, because I'm just telling you facts. And when you start turning your arguments into facts, well, that's when you're winning the game, basically. Another thing about argumentation, it is that it is very hard, like, to start with it. Like, at first time, as I was saying, I was very afraid, and it's very, 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 very intimidating when you're talking to someone. I was 18 at the time. I was just 18, and I was talking to people that were like 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and they knew a lot. And sometimes they had like careers in telecommunication, like they were technicians or something like that. So they knew. And like, you just gotta go there and like really be yourself and just be like, okay, I know my stuff. Of course, like, there's an underlying part, like below all of this, that is, you have to study your product. You have to know everything about it, and you have to know its disadvantages in order to even show more the advantages. That's one trick that really, really works. It's just, if you know where your product lacks, well, then you can orientate the conversation in order to avoid those lacks or those disadvantages. So that's, when you know your product disadvantages very well, then you're gonna be a great seller. At least in my opinion, it was what worked for me. But in terms of argumentations, it will be very hard. If there's any one of you who's thinking about like working in a call center, or is working at a call center and is having a hard time, well, you're gonna have loads of hard times. Like, during the 7 months I was there were loads of ups and downs. Times I was thinking like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing here? Times where I was thinking like, well, I'm being the king here, why am I not getting a raise? So it's like, it's like life, basically. It's like everything. There's up and there's downs, and you just gotta move on with it and just don't think a lot about it. But in terms of argumentation, just to finalize, it is a very hard skill, but it is one that if you just go through it, just don't think a lot about it, just spit your facts. And if you are like this sure that your customer is going to get a better service, well, then just grab that 1% of like sureness, if that's a word, you have, and just spit it out. Just get the customer with that and do your best, basically. There's nothing better than English tea, man. This thing is like 100 bags of tea for £1, man. This is like Poundland is the living dream. Jesus Christ. Now, to finalize this conversation about call centers and whether they are good or not, I want to talk a very important and perhaps the decisive factor for the majority of you actually, which is the environment. Basically, call centers, as you can see, have many advantages. They have its disadvantages. Like, I'm gonna be totally honest. Like, the pressure sometimes, like, with me it worked because the pressure just got me, and like I just used it in order to even grow more. But the pressure, the constant like deadlines, the constant daily objectives, weekly objectives, monthly objectives, and when you don't like get to them, it's like you just go so behind it. Like you really need the determination and ambition. But for me it worked, and I think that it works for many people, because when you get there, like, it's one of those jobs that you're like, oh, I'm not good for a call center. Like, I would never imagine myself doing it. But then you start doing it and you're like, damn, I'm actually not bad at this. And I've seen so many people, they were like, in real life, like when I met them, they were like so shy and like they didn't talk very much. And then they went to the call center, and it's most of it, it's the work of like supervisors and trainers and so on, because they really do a good job. At least in mine, they did, of like really putting the motivation up and really like focusing on your like key aspects, and don't focus on your disadvantages. That's like when you're knowing your product, it's good to know its disadvantages and in order to not go there. But when you're like teaching yourself your skills and like knowing your skills better, it's also good to know your disadvantages in order to not go there as well. So just so you don't get in a dead end or something like that, where you're like between sword and the wall and the customer just gets you. The main aspect that for me is very, very important is the environment, as I was telling, because many young people go to work to a call center because it's like this. Old people are like, okay, I don't have the patience to go to a call center anymore. And middle-aged people, like most of them are like in their 30s, they probably went to the university and now are in a job that are like in their area. If their area is call center, then they are in call centers, of course. But like the majority of them is like between 18 and 25. So it's a very, very, very young environment. And when I was working there, I made so many friends, because we were like 90 in one room. It was just a great time because everyone was so young. There was like people like 30 and above. There was even a lady that was like 55, I think, and she was working there for 5 years. So it was like quite the example. You make so many friends, and since everyone is on the same boat, everyone is getting constantly no's, everyone is under pressure. We are all in the same boat, and we all have to meet objectives, and we all want to make money. And there's a reason why we are there, because we know that there you can make more money than the others. So it's like a group, it's like a football group, it's like a football team. They just stick together, and the environment just becomes better and better and better. And at least again, this is all in my experience, but what happened with me was the supervisors many times did activities of like not only team building and so on, like those things that every company do, but also like we did like briefings and challenges, and like there was like constant challenges happening, and you could even win even more money or more recognition. That was a very, like, I would prefer to win more recognition, because like there was times where we had like prizes, like in my call center. Every time you made a sale, you would go to like a board in the middle, like a computer in the middle of the like the room, our meeting rooms and so on, and you would like put your sale there. The numbers would increase, and then you would ring like a bell, and everyone would clap. So like, believe me, when I made my first sale, I was like so thrilled, because I was like still in the younglings. So it was like in the down floor, and then we had to go up and then just go there, ring the bell, and everyone would clap and be super excited, because like you were like the beginners and they were like the experts, and like the beginners are making sales nice, they are helping the team. So everyone is super, like they cheered a lot, they screamed, and it was like such an amazing, it's like imagine scoring a goal at like your childhood stadium or childhood club stadium or something like that, like everyone cheering at you. It's like an amazing feeling, believe me, it's a really, really an amazing feeling. And that I don't know if that happens in loads and loads of call centers, but if I was like a manager of a call center, I would totally implement that, because I mean, it's just a morale boost, and it's so amazing, because everyone claps at you and you just think, okay, I really did a good job. I'm happy with that. I really did a good job. So as you can see, the environment is amazing. Not only you're making tons of money, but like you're having fun. Like you're doing calls, you're working, but you're with your friends there, and like you're just like, sometimes you're just, I almost threw the computer off here. But sometimes you're just giggling around, and like you have to be serious in your serious moments, of course. But sometimes you're just like talking with each other and be like, yeah, now you make the next sale, so come on, and just like really pump yourself. Like there was a time, like I never imagined myself doing that. But 3 months after I was at a call center, I was like shouting to everyone, like, come on guys, we have to make more sales, come on. We're really shouting, you know? And like I never imagined myself being like a leader or in something like that. And we took turns doing that. It was not like, oh, now you do it, now you do it, now you do it, now you do it. No, like there was a time like when I was more down, and then a friend of mine would be like, yo bro, come on, let's go. And there was times where she was down and I was like, bro, come on. So it's like it's a very collective and very interesting team spirit, because we were actually divided in teams inside the group of 90 people. So there was like a rivalry like inside it, a fun rivalry and a friendly competition. So that's another thing, like you always have competition in call centers, believe me, because there's always someone who wants to make more sales than you, even if it's for like the fame and recognition and so on. So it was a dream of me, like being the one who had the most sales in Portugal. Like it was really a dream. And in my company, we had like the first place, the second place, the third place in Portugal. It was so amazing, like meeting those guys. It's like playing the same team as Cristiano Ronaldo or something like that. It's just an amazing feeling. You go every day to a call center to challenge yourself, to be better, and just like improve every skill you might have in terms of communication. Just a little added bonus, I really wanted to talk about how this working in a call center can affect your future, because you're going to receive many skills, as I told you, that can be applied to other jobs. For example, you just gotta be smart, and when you're in an interview, know how to apply them and know what to say. But if you think about it, they really help. For example, I have good communication skills, and because of the call center, and now I'm in a journalism course, and that helps a lot, because there are people who sometimes think about what they want to say and know what they want to say, but they can say it, and I have more ease on that part of it. And like, for example, there's like a part of journalism where there's like political journalism and like opinion journalism, so where like you're debating stuff and so on, and like really debating like important stuff, and you need to have those argumentation skills. And like, of course I'm going to learn like most of the argumentation skills I know on the journalism course, but it's like it's just a head start that I have that others don't sometimes. And I mean, there's other jobs that you can also learn argumentation skills, like I don't know any of them, but I bet there are. They also give you a head start, but in my opinion, call center is the one who gives you like the best. And not only, like I've gone to so many job interviews after that job. They were so different. I worked for a restaurant, and I used my skills in my interview and told them, yeah, I worked in a call center. I think that really helped me and will help me with this job. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, because of like the under pressure stuff in the call center. In the restaurant, you're always under pressure, like the swiftness and like quickly reacting to stuff that happen in the call center, because sometimes things didn't go our way. So it's like some of the things are more general than the others, some of the things that apply to the other jobs as well, but there are things that are very specific of the call center. And if you can pull the right examples, if you can say, yeah, because there was this one time in the call center that I had to do this and this and that, if you can pull those things on your interviews or something like that, then believe me, you are going to be very successful. So anyways, that was basically the video. I know still there are many disadvantages, and there are call centers who are running out there just to scam people, and that's very bad. And there are workers, and I used to work with them, that are calling people and just lying to them and making frauds. And believe me, that's very bad, I know. But it's the same as life. There's bad things and there's good things. And we just have to see if there are many as good things as there are bad things, if there are more good things. And in the call center, I think it's a very good job for you to start. It's like a job that has many stereotypes of like, no, I will not never work in a call center because, and I don't even know why people say that, because it's a job like others, and actually it isn't. It's a job better than the others, in my opinion. So people should all give a try to call centers and really see like what's the world inside it. It doesn't matter what you're selling here. Like one thing I want to say, it doesn't matter if you're selling phone services, if you're selling gym memberships, if you're selling backpacks, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to the same thing. You have your product, you want to sell your product, and you just go for it. Doesn't matter if you're like in technical assistance or something like that. Well, you just gotta do your thing. You just gotta help clients the best you can and earn commissions on that, like by the number of clients that you keep on your company. So sometimes in some call centers you have to be more patient than the others. In other ones you have to have better argumentation skills, but it all comes down to the same thing. You just gotta improve your communication skills. Be very confident, and don't be afraid of people on the other side, because we are all humans. I'm human and I'm working in a call center, and I used to be the annoying one who called you just in order to sell services. So, and now I'm here talking with you on YouTube. So just go try a call center and tell me what you think. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.